What is up, YouTube? I'm Vick Almighty, back at it this week with Mission Fusion. A few weeks ago, I took care of the Jordan 2 and 3 Fusion, where I put the 2 upper on the 3 sole, 3 upper on the 2 sole, using the fire red colorway. Before that, I did the black cement Jordan 3 and 4, as well as the hair 6 and 7. This week, we're taking care of the Jordan 8 and 9, using the aqua colorway. Now, if you guys haven't seen my previous videos, my mission is to create an entire Fusion line that's never been created before, using the retro 1 through 14 with only original colorway. I've done the fire red, hair, and black cements. This week, we're doing the aquas. When it comes to the 8s, there's only 3 original colorways to work with: the Bugs Bunnies,
what's up, Doc?
the Aquas, and the Playoffs. When it comes to the Jordan 9s, you have the Olives, the Chicago colorway, the Powder Blues, and the Charcoals. Ultimately though, when it comes to those 7 colorways, my favorite one by far is the Aqua. To make this fusion possible, I'm gonna use all 3 pairs on the table. One of the funnest things about these projects before they even start is sitting there for hours on Google, trying to pick the best colorway and seeing what shoes are there to work with. After tons of research, these are the 3 pairs I went with. Originally, I was trying to stay away from the Jordan 9 Fusion for the longest time, simply because of the teeth on the midsole. They go up way too high, making it really hard to cover up with the Jordan 8 midsole. But as I was researching online and eBay, I came across this Jordan 9 right here. These came out in 2002. It's a metal football cleat. It's a black and white colorway, great quality sneaker. Best thing about it though is, if you look closely, there is no teeth at all, making it really easy to swap the Jordan 8 sole onto that area. Plus, this colorway is perfect for this fusion. It's gonna be a good donor for this aqua fusion. We have a ton of work to do, so let's get to work. For this project, I'm gonna be using the 2025 Retro Aqua 8s, 2002 football metal cleats, and 2022 Olive Concord 9s. Now, these are the exact shoes that I'll be using for this fusion. This one, all I need is the midsole, sole, tongue, plastic hardware. On this side, all we need is the upper. The shoe is from 2002, about 23 years old. The glue's completely dried out. It's gonna be extremely easy to remove the sole. And over here, we'll be using both aquas. For the left sneaker, I just need the upper, and the right sneaker, I need the midsole. I'll save everything else I can for this project and a future project as well. Let's start the breakdown process. I think I'm gonna start with the easiest one first, which is the 9. It's gonna peel right off, just like that. I'm gonna take off the shoelace as well and move on to the rest of the stuff. Now for these two, I really just need the midsoles and the soles. I'll be using the acetone and heat method to remove the uppers. But before that, there are some parts on the uppers that I can remove for this project and future projects, such as the tongues, plastic hardware, and anything else that I can see. I'm gonna carefully use the blade to remove those parts before I go next door and pour some acetone into the sneakers.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
This is probably the dumbest thing to say, but you never know. All right, stripped down to bare bones. Let's go pour some acetone inside the sneakers, put the steamer inside to melt the glue to get the uppers off. Easy part is out of the way. We got the other shoes separated with the acetone and heat. On this side, it's gonna be a little bit more time consuming. I'm gonna be using a flathead, blue tape, and some heat to carefully remove the midsole from the upper. Doing this process will destroy the midsole. That's okay, I don't need it. I just gotta make sure the uppers stay perfect. All right, finally, got the outsole and midsole from the Aqua 8 fully off. The midsole is destroyed. The sole is still intact. Could be a cool display piece. Now, these are the 2 uppers that I'll be using for the fusion. I still need to remove the tongue on the Aqua 8. Same thing with the 9. The one thing I do have to do also is remove the back tab. Since the shoe is from 2002, making them about 23 years old, this tab is falling apart. As soon as I grab it, it's gonna fall into pieces. I'm gonna carefully remove it as well. Deconstruction is finally done on both sneakers. Let's start piecing stuff back to the sneakers. I'm gonna focus on the 9s first. Due to age, the tab completely deteriorated. It's no good, it's gotta get replaced. Luckily on the Olive Concords, it's got the perfect replacement. You get the turquoise with the Concord purple. Basically, Gonna go right there. Now let me explain the issue with this upper. Like I mentioned, it's from 2002. It's in great condition, it's brand new. However, due to age, the panel leather isn't in the greatest condition. Over time, it's gonna start to fall apart. It's gonna have cracks here and there if it gets worn. If I display it and never wear it, I shouldn't have an issue. But with this custom, I will run into issues if I'm not careful, specifically in this spot right here. In the past, one of the things I always do is I put some fake stitching on the area I need to. Then I simply put glue on both pieces and just glue it on. If I was to do that on this project, this is gonna peel right off. Even if I prep it and remove this circle just around the area, the material is just gonna further peel, making it super ugly. So my next best option is to lift the sock liner. I'm gonna get some double-sided tape, put it in place, then with some yellow thread and a needle, hand sew it. I'm hoping nothing goes wrong. All right, so I got kicked out of my studio. Today is Rejuvenator Day, so we're shooting a bunch of content in there. Shout out to Rob. In the meantime, I'm here in the rest of the bullpen with the rest of the guys. I got done with the tab replacement on the Jordan 9 upper. It looks factory. Now I gotta start the prep work before I can attach the soles onto the new uppers. I'm gonna start with the Jordan 8 sole. The first thing I am gonna do is remove the aqua plates off each side. I thought about keeping them on. The thing is, it just doesn't work in my opinion. If you look at it attached, it might work on this side, but on the opposite, it just goes way too high. Plus, I'm keeping it on the aqua 8 upper. I thought about removing it, however, because it's a suede on both pieces, the stitch lines are gonna be there and I can't cover that up. Plus, underneath that plate on both sides, there's two big holes that I can't cover up on suede. Just wouldn't work. So with that being said, I'm gonna keep the plates on the 8 and remove them off the 9. Before I start dremeling, I'm gonna grab a blade and carefully slice them off. Follow the same formula that I've been doing with these fusions. I'm gonna go ahead and swap the tongues. The 9 tongue is gonna go on the Jordan 8 upper, just like this. This one should have no issues. It'll fit nicely. Basically, I just gotta apply some glue on the bottom, add some stitch lines, and same thing with the sides to lock in that piece. Now, only problem with this side is, on the bottom portion, you can still see the stitch lines. I want it to sit right around so. I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the Jordan 2 and 3 Fusion and add a bottom panel to extend the tongue. On the Aqua 8 that I separated the midsole from, I was able to salvage this piece. Kind of looks like a mask. This was a part of the back of the Jordan 8. It didn't get damaged by the acetone. I'm thinking about cutting this bottom portion and then stitching it on to the bottom portion of the tongue. All right, this piece is perfectly cut out, got a nice shape to it. Now I'm gonna lay down some glue using bar super stick on this part, tongues, and the uppers so we can bond everything together and head to the machine. All right, before I can attach the tongue onto the upper, I'm gonna sew on the gray piece using some gray thread. Tongue is attached onto the 9 upper, looks pretty clean. I also added some stitch line on both sides and the bottom, just to make sure the rest of the tongue is fully attached. Now this next step is making sure the upper sits nicely on this 8 upper. Check this out. This is kind of what the Fusion is gonna look like. But if you ask me, the shoe as is looking a little basic, like it's missing something. I removed these tabs originally because I didn't want it to be repetitive with the 8 upper, but as I'm looking at it, I feel like it's missing. Plus, they're gonna have to go on the upper anyway. I went with the football cleat just to make sure I didn't have any teeth here in the front area, making it easier for the 8 midsole to cover up. But over here in this area, the original midsole still sits way too high for the 8 midsole. You can see right there. There's nothing I can do to drop it even lower. In the past, for example, on the Hair 6s and 7 Fusion, there were certain areas where it wouldn't line up. So I grabbed a bunch of leather filler and spent days sanding it down. It made it look perfect, but the thing is, with this sneaker and the 8 upper, they're two different materials. With this panel leather, there's not much I can do with it. Plus, it's very fragile. If I started laying down some filler and sanding, it will fall apart really quickly. Same thing with the 8 uppers, it's nubuck, there's not much I can do but cover up those spots. So in this case, I'm gonna grab the tab, basically readjust it to a different place and drop it even lower, roughly right around there. And on the opposite side, same exact thing. In this area, there's a glue line that I gotta cover up. This piece sat way too high. It was right above the stitch line. The way I'm gonna go about it, probably gonna go right around there or so. A lot smaller, tucked in. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure it's exactly where I want it so I can lay down some double-sided tape. There's a good chance I had to hand sew this part. Normally I would go to the machine. The problem is both of these parts are right on top of the heel counter that's really thick. Most of the time the needle on the machine breaks as soon as I try to puncture a hole, so I'm not even gonna bother. The sewing awl is gonna do the trick. I'm so glad this worked out. This is a huge element when it comes to the Aqua 8. I'm glad I was able to put it on the 9 upper. It also helped out with a couple things, covered up the glue line, and it also locked in the rest of the tongue on both sides. Now this next part is gonna be time consuming. I gotta make sure it comes out perfect. There's only one shot at it. I'm gonna put the 9 upper on the 8 sole and get ready to create my new glue line. I'm gonna be using a removable pen all around. These marks gotta be on point. There's no room for mistake. As soon as I start dremeling or skiving, there's no putting that material back onto the shoe. Next step in the sketchy process, I'm gonna grab a blade and carefully shave off that material underneath that glue line. Can't make no mistake, if I shave off something I don't want, there's no going back. Prep is all done on the 9 upper. Let's get back to this one. Same exact thing. We have issues with the fitment of the midsole onto the upper. The Jordan 9 midsole doesn't fully cover up certain parts. The biggest issues are this corner right here. Same thing on this opposite side. Most of the time, I'm able to manipulate the upper to cover up those parts, but in this case, those parts are sitting way too high. I could drop the sneaker, but it'll look wonky. In other projects, I've been able to use leather filler, but this is nubuck. There's nothing I can do about that. Luckily, I was able to save the parts from the opposite Aqua sneaker. These are the straps. I don't need much material. Basically, I'm just gonna cut out a little piece that fits this little corner, this spot over here as well. It's the perfect material for this cover up. I just gotta make sure I pick the perfect parts. All right, roughly, that's where that piece is gonna go. I still have to sew it in place, but first, I'm gonna grab a blade, remove all the old glue. I have to skive that part as well. That way, when I put the sole, it fits flush. Once that's done, I'll go to the machine and sew it. I think it's gonna work out perfectly. I got this little piece sewn in to cover up that spot. Same exact thing on the opposite. Now, here's the tough part. I'm gonna go ahead and place this on the Jordan 9 midsole to create my new glue line as well. Got some marks on the back and on the front to make sure I know exactly where the center point is. I'm gonna grab my pen and start making my marks. As always, that part is the sketchiest part of any fusion. Once you start cutting into the upper, there is no going back, especially on nubuck suede. You can't place back the material once you make that slice. I took my time, spent several hours on both sides, making sure everything was on point. Got the teeth on this side, everything good to go on both sides. That extra material that I added came in clutch. Gonna look perfect once the sole is on. Same thing on the opposite side. Next, I'll be laying down some glue on the soles and the uppers to get it ready to bond once the glue is fully cured. Glue's fully applied, it's time to start bonding everything together. I'm gonna start with the toes, got my lines marked up, jump to the back and do the sides. Gotta take my time with this process. All I need is very little heat before I bond. Swap is fully complete. I held my breath throughout the entire process. To finish up the details, on the back of the 23, I'm gonna be adding some gray. I took care of the 3, just gotta do the 2, using some gray paint. In a perfect world, if these 2 panels were made out of leather, I would have for sure prepped it and matched the gray to the Aqua 8s to make sure this entire panel is gray, just like the Aquas. But in this case, it's not gonna work because it's panel leather, the paint will flake right off. The next best case is a 23. On to the final detail, lacing it up. Can't wait to freaking fine do this. Alright guys, that's gonna bring us to an end on this first ever Jordan 8 and 9 using the Aqua colorway. Out of the 4 fusions that I've done, this is by far the one I was most nervous about due to the fragile materials on the Jordan 9 upper and the nubuck upper. Same thing with the nubuck uppers and the midsoles. Luckily, it all worked out. When it comes to these fusions, I try to keep these shoes as organic as possible. I would have loved to move the straps onto the Jordan 9 upper, move the back tab onto the Jordan 8 upper. The thing is, it just would have looked ugly. It would have not made sense. It would have been forced. The elements that I did switch made the most sense without doing too much. One thing I've noticed about these fusions, one always looks better than the other. Originally, I thought I was gonna like this one more. It looked cool at first with the 9 midsole and 8 upper before I attached it together. Over here though, it has more of the Aqua elements. You got the patch on the tongue, the Aqua plates, and the Jordan 8 midsole and sole. Ultimately, I'm gonna have to go with this one. It looks more wearable, something you could definitely wear on the court. I really like how the circle tab on the back goes nicely with the circle patch on the front also. The 23 on the back, that's gray, is a nice touch. On this set over here, it's a cool shoe as well. The thing is, in my opinion, if this shoe was to come out, it would definitely have Team Jordan vibes, but that's my opinion on it. The Jordan 9 tongue is definitely a cool touch. I love how the midsole lined up right here, right next to the aqua plate. When I do these fusions, I always start off with an idea on how it's gonna look, but as I go, I have to go with the flow and switch things up. For example, on this side, I wasn't planning on adding the plates on each side. I wanted just to keep the midsole, but ultimately I had to attach them onto the shoe to cover up those original glue lines and add that extra aqua element. On this side, I really thought I was gonna be able to cover up this spot using the sole, but I had to pivot to using extra material. That's the fun thing about these projects. As you go, you gotta do some problem solving. Again, these turned out great. I can't wait to display these with the rest of the fusions. This is pair number 4 out of 13. I have a few other ones in the works. For example, 1 and 2, 10 and 11, 9 and 10, 4 and 5. I still have to figure out the other ones. Let me know which fusion and original colorway to do next. Use promo code AQUA20 to save 20% on your next order at reshoeminator.com. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Vick Almighty. I'll catch you guys next Monday. See you guys.